landscape painting. And we have a lot of paintings. As we went around, we started to realize that we have a lot of paintings back, you know, we don't have any maybe in the early 18th century because not many of those exist. So what we did is we went around and we sort of picked out the paintings that we could explain how the landscape styles evolved, what styles came in, styles went out, and actually Kevin and I were just a few minutes ago discussing really how we're going to approach this, because we really don't have we have a chronological order, but we don't have all the sort of like the early 18th century ones. Those are all, we've sold them all if we had any, and they're all in collections or museums. And so, I don't know, Kevin and I really haven't discussed this, but I think even though chronologically this one is a little out of sync, it was probably done more in the mid-19th century, but I think the first, when you really start to think about the colonists and they came here, this is what we consider the Hudson River School. And it went west because the artists were so entranced, and the way our country, the settlers, they realized what we had here was absolutely remarkable. And so it's really, this is a painting of Paradox, and up in upstate New York, and it was painted by a guy named Ropes, and we actually went to the exact spot where he painted it. We actually found the exact location, even though it doesn't look like it now, but you can tell by the mountain, the angle of the mountain. And so at one point in time, before it became overdeveloped and, you know, the lake, Paradox Lake, became you know, a really wonderful area to live. That's what it looked like when they first came here. And it's so romantic to think, because that was the age of romantic painting. They were reflecting upon the great nature and the great landscape of what we had here. It was pretty virgin. Really, only the Native Americans were here, but they never, you know, the Indians and Native Americans, they really didn't abuse anything like we have. And they didn't build McDonald's on every corner. And so that's why, to me, even though this painting was probably done about 1860, it shows the style of painting for a long time previous to that. On the back side, we were lucky enough to find, it's really faint, but it's actually signed and dated, so we knew who did it. And so that was really good. And while we have it, because it really, this is a great opportunity to show you how we know when frames are original and period. You see, this is the stretcher for the canvas, for the painting, and you see how the color matches, the stretcher matches the color of the frame. That is critical in determining, you know, the originality. And we can also tell that the frame was not cut down because the angle, the bevels are not altered. They're exactly they were when the frame was put together. And so that is how we go into determining the originality of the frames. And it's very important. Certain frames add greatly to the paintings themselves, and it's not unusual for a frame to be as valuable as the painting itself, if the frame was actually designed by a great architect, which they did.